Hello and welcome to the Naked Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Emerant, and I'm so glad you're here. This space is devoted to real, raw, and radically honest conversations with some of the most magnetic, diverse, and wonderful humans I've had the honor of crossing paths with. From mystics to makers, teachers to truth seekers, this is a home for anyone craving depth, connection, and clarity. At the heart of this podcast is a mission to unshame the human experience. We're here to dismantle the silence, to bring to light what we've been taught to hide, and to reclaim our voices through storytelling. Whether we're unpacking grief, celebrating joy, exploring sensuality and identity, or getting curious about what it really means to live an authentic and meaningful life, nothing is off limits here. This is a community built through conversation, a place where you get to feel seen, embraced, and reminded that you're never alone. So get cozy, stay open, and let's get naked in the most soul-expanding, liberating way possible. Welcome to Naked Conversations. Hello, my dears. Welcome to this very special episode of the Naked Conversations podcast. This is a solo episode today, and I'm coming at you with a direct transmission on a walk in Kitsilano after getting my lashes done. So if there's any traffic in the background, I just wanted to give you that little heads up that I am out on a walk and I am just on the voice notes right now giving you this direct transmission. What has been dropping in for me so deeply lately is this remembrance of the undercurrent of life which guides everything, and how over the course of the last 5,000 or so years, we have lost this deep and true connection to the undercurrent of our lives. This is the feminine principle, the mystery that cannot be tamed. This is our intuitive voices that can't necessarily articulate what is happening beneath the surface. It happens all on a very unconscious level. And we get these signs and these synchronicities and these symbols in our lives to kind of dance with the mystery. For example, this could be a word that continues to come up over and over again in your life. And for myself, that word has been threshold. I genuinely believe that we are at this time of remembering and reintegrating these feminine principles rather than just looking at the factual and the objective and seeing things in the present moment for the way that they truly are. It's not only a physical manifestation of those things. There is constantly an energy underneath what happens in the physical realm that is dictating the movement of our society, of ourselves, of the earth. And my deepest feeling is that we are coming to understand and to consolidate those two worlds, this outer world of fact and logic, and coming back into a living and breathing relationship to the mystery that brings life forward. I'll give you an example. If you were to Google or ChatGPT truth, what will come forward is objective facts. It will be history. It won't be determined by the emotions and the energy that has dictated what those truths have manifested as. Does that make it truth? No, because there is a narrative that is constantly being perpetuated within society. And this is not the narratives that we feel to be true on an embodied level. On an embodied level, we each have our own wounds to navigate. We have the shadows that society has put on us. And when we're coming back to reconciling with those wounds and those shadows on an internal level, at our very core and in our very hearts, when we can grapple with and start to move and shift and remember our truth, the emotional truth, and to meet it with a higher mind of objectivity rather than a subjectivity, which I believe on a personal level we've done so incredibly we've really overdone it, truly. It's been in the healing community, my wounds, my trauma, my hurt. We've created stories on stories around this, and it hasn't been integrated into the full feminine principle that these stories are constantly happening around us. These are things that we're feeling on a collective level. What my hurt is, your hurt is. Your abandonment is my abandonment. The abandonment of self is the abandonment of the collective self. This rejection that we may be feeling on a personal level isn't something that we have only felt. It is something that our ancestors have felt. And when we can come down to this understanding and deep feeling of those emotions and wounds and traumas, we can actually start to alchemize it and realize that we are not alone in that. So this is this kind of dance between the lower kind of shadowy, unconscious feelings that we are constantly trying to run from and avoid in the collective, and coming to this kind of zoomed out perspective on the fact that this is a universal kind of truth. This is a universal understanding. This is a kind of higher cosmic realm that we are all kind of dancing in and living in, and we are not separate from that realm. So this kind of dance between the lower world and the physical world is starting to come into our consciousness in a very big way. And I think people are struggling because physical world is starting to show us that there is something that is much deeper at play. And this is this reawakening of the feminine principle, this dance between the mystery and the material. And we have placed so much importance on the material realm in our society. Everything has been made to be linear and logical. When there is something, there is life which cannot be quantified. We can't control what spirit wants to move within our lives. But what we can kind of reconcile with is the emotions that it might bring up for us. And this kind of relational dance that we can do with what is coming up in our lives to be reviewed and how that is impacting us on an internal level. And this makes life such a juicy kind of exploration of relationship to ourselves, to life in general, to a relationship to our friends, our families, our stories, our collective mind. And we can truly come to a reconciliation when it comes to this. Like, there is a pathway that we can walk where we become deeply devoted to remembering the physical world, grounding in our physical bodies, and bringing together this understanding of the unconscious, this kind of cosmic stew in which everything exists, and bringing that into the physical world so that each of us, in our own way, through our own relationality to what is in the current reality, in our physical reality, what we can actually bring to that feels so authentically ourselves. And this truly comes with what we've been going through as a collective of stripping back the layers and getting truly naked with our truth. And that is the main premise of this Naked Conversations podcast. I'm sure some of you are familiar with the creation story of Adam and Eve that is present in the Bible. It is all allegory. It's all parsing out the meaning of things. My understanding is that it comes down to humans were made in the reflection and the image of a creator source. And in this kind of state, without consciousness, we were in this cosmic soup of being totally and completely connected to the creator. And then when we were tempted in the garden, we started to cover ourselves because we forgot that we are a reflection directly of source consciousness. So this cast us out of the garden, so to speak. So we started to clothe ourselves. We started to have to try to prove that we were deserving of a connection to God or source or whatever you would like to conceptualize that as. But this stripping back of the layers of self, this stripping back of the projections and the stories that we have felt worthy of on this physical earth, when we can actually come into that relationship with self, with the living elements, which are an emanation of the divine in its purest sense. When we can walk that kind of internal path of walking through earth, water, fire, and air, and all of the archetypes that represents, we can come into such a deep relationship to the earth, to our bodies, to ourselves, to life in general, and it can truly enliven our purpose in life. And the most beautiful thing about this is that each element, the earth, which represents sustenance, represents our body and how we fuel ourselves. And that can be taken in so many different directions, in how we nourish our physical bodies, how we nourish the relationships around us, how we can sustainably start to engage in a relationship with the living earth. When it comes to creation, that has to do with our unconscious mind, our relationship to water and the unconscious, and how our stories are a living memory of what has happened before us and what can potentially happen in the future. It all starts in the water, in life itself, in this spirit moving constantly, in the relationship that we have to our sensuality. This is so incredibly exciting to work through fire, which has to do with the heart and the transmutation and transformation that happens when we can meet the elements together and start to dance with them from a truly authentic place. How can we strip that back? This kind of sacred flame, sacred heart. It's incredible. And if you are excited and enlivened by this kind of principle of dancing between worlds and really bringing back this ancient wisdom that is so in our bones and starting to weave that together with the physical world, of a world that our ancestors of the last 200 years have built in a physical way to hold and support us, if we can start to bring deep ancestral wisdom of thousands of years past, if we can start to dance with this in an elemental way to re-enliven our intuitive voices and our intuition, we are creating an entirely new paradigm, an entirely new world for which our children and our children's children and our grandchildren and 7 generations into the future are going to be walking in with a feeling of being so held and supported by this undercurrent of life and this overcurrent of a physical reality in which that life can be expressed fully and truly in an expansive way. I am so excited to be launching this in the next coming months. And if you were excited about this, and if you have any questions, and if you want to be involved in this movement, I am so looking forward to hearing from you and to hearing your thoughts on all of this. And yes, I am just so grateful to be living at this moment. And it truly feels like this is a culmination of so many things and initiations that I have had to walk through in this life, is to come to this moment and to come to this realization of dancing between worlds and learning how to bring this cosmic reality into the physical body and into this physical reality so that life can actually start to move forward in a way that serves our sovereignty as individual humans.
Thank you for being here and for letting this naked conversation move you. If something stirred in your heart or body, or if you felt seen, softened, awakened, or curious, I'd love to know more. Come find me on Instagram and share what touched you. The intention is to make this a living and breathing relationship, not just a performance. And if you're longing to go deeper, to be met in the raw, and to tend to what's ready to unfold in your soul's calling, my one-to-one sessions are an intimate container for that, where we meet soul to soul, body to body, and in devotion to your truth and your light. You'll find details in the show notes. Until next time.